Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Randall. I am the computer science teacher here at Temecula Valley High School. Since this is an online class, I want to provide some additional resources and explanations about what you need to do each week. So I'll be posting these videos weekly with your other assignments. So it's there to help you and guide you as you work through these lessons. My hope is that by watching these videos and going through the lessons, you'll be able to learn the course content as if you were here in class with me. But as always, I am in room 624. So if you ever have any questions, just come on by. This introductory course is divided into two parts. So the first semester, we're going to learn all of the coding. And then the second semester, we're going to focus on the computer science principles. At the end of the year, there is an AP exam. I strongly recommend that everybody sign up and take the exam. There'll be more information about that coming later. Since this is the first semester, we start with coding. So you guys will be in code.org, and we start with Unit 3, not Unit 1. This week, we're mainly focusing on what we call design mode. This helps us create the look and feel of our applications within code.org. Even though we're focusing on coding, we begin by looking at the user interface, or the UI. This includes the colors, font size, font color, image placement, text inputs, and much more. This week, you will be looking at lessons 1 and 2 in Unit 3. So when you go to code.org, you're going to look at lesson 1 first. You'll notice that there's these 14 levels to complete. At the center top of the screen, you'll see these 14 white bubbles. Each bubble represents a level within this lesson. As you complete a level, the bubble is going to turn either green or purple. When I'm grading your homework, I check that all the bubbles are filled in. As you work through the levels, complete the task, and then you're going to click either submit or finish. At that point, code.org will check your response. If it's correct, you move to the next level. If not, you'll be prompted to fix it. The goal is for you to have all of these bubbles filled in, again, either green or purple, so that you know that you finished all the work. For this lesson 1, the first 3 levels are pretty simple. You're just going to read the prompts and type in answers. When you get to level 4, it's going to ask you to discuss 3 questions. Since you're working at home, answer these questions in your head. The questions are: how does a user interact with an app? What is the app's overall purpose, and who is the target audience? For how users interact with the app, you should focus on the buttons or anything you would click to get the app to do something. When we talk about an app's purpose, we want to know why the app exists. This question will come up constantly in this course and will likely be part of an FRQ question on your AP exam. For this class, the key when talking about an app's purpose is to describe why the app exists in 1 or 2 sentences. Focus on the goal of the app or the functionality rather than the technical details. For example, this level 4 app is a water conservation app, so you could say the purpose of this app is to teach users ways to conserve water and promote awareness about protecting the environment. You could also expand slightly depending on the level of detail by saying the app helps users learn about water conservation techniques and encourages sustainable habits. Or you could say the app provides information and interactive tools to educate people about water conservation. Looking at the target audience question, your target audience is basically anybody that might use this app. So we could say anyone interested in water conservation or high school students learning about environmental issues and water conservation. What's important is that you justify your answers. So once you finish this, go ahead and click finish on the page. It will take you through levels 5, 6, 7, and 8. They're different apps that are going to ask you the same questions. When you get to level 9, we're going to start looking at the inputs and outputs. Inputs are interactions that you have with the app. So when you type something in, when you click a button, when you select an image, those are all inputs. The outputs are what the app provides in response to those inputs that you give it. So you might get new text, you might go to a new screen, you might get a different image. For example, on this water conservation app, if I click the Spanish button, you will see that the text changes from English to Spanish. So the input is me clicking the Spanish button. The output is the Spanish text that's shown on the screen. You're going to do the same thing for levels 9 through 13, just looking at those inputs and outputs. You're then going to move on to level 14. This is just a matching activity to kind of check your understanding of some of the terms that you've learned through this point. Once you finish lesson 1, you'll move on to lesson 2. This lesson has you actually creating or changing what we call UI elements on the screen. Just kind of going over the code.org screen, you're going to notice on the far left, you're going to see your app. In the middle, you're going to see this box labeled Design Toolbox, and then on the far right, you'll find the Workspace. Above the toolbox and workspace are the instructions. So this is where you read to see what it is that you need to do for that code.org lesson. For level 1 of lesson 2, they want you to look at the elements on the screen, move some around, see which properties you can change, and figure out if there's anything you can't change. As you do this, you're just going to click on the different items in the app. For example, if you click on the red square and move it around, you'll see that it changes, or I could click on this black and white flower pot image and move it as well. When you click on an element, what I want you to do is look at the workspace area, and you're going to see 2 tabs. There's a properties and an events tab. On the properties tab, you're going to see a list of properties. As you click on different elements, you will notice that the properties available to you change. For example, if I click on the red square, I can see that it has an ID color swatch. It has a width, it has a height, it's got an X position, a Y position, text color, background color, and so forth. If you click on the background color, you're going to see this red square. If I click on that square, I could select a different color, and you'll see that the square on my app changes to the color that I selected. For this level, just play around with the elements, change different properties, see how it works. In about 2 weeks, you'll have your first project where you'll create an app to teach me and your classmates something you're interested in. You'll pretty much be adding these elements and customizing them using these properties to get that project done. In the design toolbox, you'll see additional elements that you could add to your app. For example, I could click on this drop-down menu, drag it into my app, let go with the mouse, and now I have a drop-down in my app. For level 2, they're going to introduce you to themes. So you're going to see this theme starts in the default white, black, and orange. They want you to change it to this kind of purplish color. What I want you to do is look in the design toolbox. You're going to see this theme drop down. These are default themes that change all the elements at one time. So if we select area 51 in here, you'll see that it does match the image in our instructions. So once you do that, you can go ahead and move on to level 3. Level 3 is very similar to level 2, except this time there's no theme that's going to match it perfectly. So you kind of need to click on these different elements, adjust the properties to get the colors as close as you can. Do not worry if it's not perfect. Just get it close. My suggestion is to start with a theme that's close and then make some minor adjustments as you go. Go ahead and move on to level 4. You're going to start working with images. So just follow the instructions on the screen. It's going to want you to add an image, something like a cat to the app. So go ahead and do that. Level 5, you're going to do something similar, but this time it's asking you to add an icon. So code.org does come with some default icons built into it, but you'll also notice that there's a way that you can upload your own images or your own icon. So you could go to Google, find an image that you like, upload it, and put that in there. Level 6 is going to introduce you to the ID property. This ID property is pretty critical in JavaScript. We're going to go over it more next week, but just go ahead and work through this level and move on to level 7. Level 7 is just a practice, so you're going to get a blank app. They want you to make it look like the image in the instructions, so do your best to get all of that in there. Finally, you're going to move on to level 8. That is just a quick check for understanding. So once you finish that, you should notice that you now have all your bubbles filled in for level 2. So pretty much this week, again, we're focusing on lessons 1 and 2. We're working on this design mode. What I want to make sure you understand is that you can state an app's purpose in 1 or 2 sentences. You can identify a target audience. You understand inputs and outputs. You recognize UI elements and their different properties. You can change properties to adjust an app's appearance. And again, going into next week, that ID, understanding descriptive IDs and using camel case for those IDs. That pretty much does it for week 1. Good luck. And remember, if you need any help, just come by my room 624 and don't forget to do your weekly check-ins. Thanks.